With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
As coaches, we have to get our reps just like our players do. We study this game in great detail, but we also have to coach it and teach it, and we hone ourselves professionally by actually doing and reflecting on it and finding where to improve. And that's something we discussed in our number 6 interview of 2023 with Baylor outside linebacker coach Caleb Collins. Coach Collins explains how he did that as an inexperienced coach, and the pointers he gives certainly can help seasoned professionals grow and develop as well. Enjoy. What you see on tape is a direct reflection of what you teach and how you teach. Video is important, but if you don't teach well, you're not going to like what you see on your video. First Down Playbook has been helping coaches teach better for 13 years. It allows you to present installs, playbooks, and practice cards in half the time with NFL quality. Coaching tools like video pairing, a player app, practice schedules, and wristband sheets have made First Down Playbook a program management system with everything in one place. If you're in a position of leadership with your football program, receive a free 1-week look at First Down Playbook. Call them at 512-814-6158 or visit them on their website or social media. Mention Coach and Coordinator Podcast or use the coupon code COACH24 to receive a $100 discount off the normal $700 First Down Playbook team membership price. Links and the phone number are in the show notes. As coaches, we know that some of the biggest hurdles to our team's success can come from off the field. Your team needs support to tackle the endless list of expenses, uniforms, training equipment, travel, and more. But raising that money can feel like a full-time job. Thankfully, there's Vertical Raise. Vertical Raise is the premier online fundraising platform using innovative technology to create the easiest and most efficient system available. Raise more money in less time with a local fundraising coach who works with your team every step of the way to customize the ideal fundraiser. With options for online donations, digital discount cards, premium product sales, and even spirit shops, Vertical Raise has top-of-the-line solutions for every fundraising style. To find out more, visit verticalraise.com and we'll get you connected with an exclusive offer on your first fundraiser.
I remember just being at LSU, and it was just always a lot of stuff to do. So a lot of times as GAs and analysts, we wouldn't be able to really be in position. I just remember thinking when it comes my time to run my own room at the college level, how am I going to know I'm prepared for this? So what I used to do is from being in defensive staff meetings, listening to coaches teach stuff, Coach Aranda teach the staff. Well, at the end of the day, I would just go in and I would set up a camcorder. And I would go in the linebacker room and I would just pretend like it was, a room full of guys. And I would teach a install or teach a defense or teach a concept as if it was a room full of guys. And I would rewatch it and be like, oh man, look how many times I said, look how many times I did this. Or I wasn't making eye contact here. And I would just rewatch them and see what I could do better.
As coaches, we always seem to be in a hurry to get to where we want to be, to get to that position that we set as a career goal. In that haste, we may forget we have plenty of opportunity to improve ourselves and build our skills in the place we are at. That's exactly what Caleb Collins did in progressing through the ranks from being a high school teacher and coach to an analyst to an on-field position coach in the FBS. He found ways to use the positions he was in to get the reps he needed to improve his skills as a coach. In this episode, he shares examples of that, as well as the methods and progressions he uses to coach the outside linebackers at Baylor. While he gets focused on the specifics of outside linebacker play as we go, you can learn from the way he thinks about and the methods he uses to prepare his position for success on the field. On today's episode, we're going to dig into outside linebacker play and how those guys are coached, and joining me to discuss that and go into the details of it is the outside linebackers coach at Baylor, Caleb Collins. Coach Collins, it's great to have you here on the podcast.
Man, I'm great to be here. Keith, appreciate you for having me, man.
I want to start here with a little bit of your background. So you've been at Baylor now. You were in an off-field position as quality control. Prior to that, you were an analyst at LSU, and before LSU, coached high school ball. And you really feel that start, coaching and teaching high school, has been something that's been instrumental in helping you to get on the field. If you would explain what was the most important aspect of what you did as a teacher/coach that's helped you get to the position you are today?
One, starting with the coaches that coached me, coaches like, Coach Roberts and Coach Scott, and, some of those coaches I was with at Southeastern, and even my high school coaches. I went to, North Shore High School, and really, but just learning about just the importance of being a good teacher. When I was a high school coach, man, I just remember not even knowing I wanted to go into coaching, but, one of the things that kind of helped me knew that I was doing what I was supposed to do was just my love for it. And I loved even the teaching part. A lot of times, you see some high school coaches that, just don't really want nothing to do with the teaching part, but I loved it. I was a world geography teacher. I taught U.S. history as well for a little bit, but I just loved the whole deal of getting in your PLCs, prepping a lesson plan, thinking about how you was going to teach that. I love thinking about, hey, this is going to be our district assessment scores, like, who's going to have the top score, competing in that aspect of it. I also love the evals. It would be like, the people that were over you. I remember Melody Shelton was her name, but, she would come in my classroom and sit in the back and eval me going through a lesson. She would be honest with me, like, hey, coach, like, great job at this. Hey, you could have done this better. Hey, you could have engaged the class a little more. Hey, you could have, asked questions. You could have used this method of teaching. Like, all that stuff was cool to me, and it helped me.
And now for you, running your own room, certainly a big aspect of that is everything that you're going to teach them in that classroom setting, and that's coming into play for you now.
Yeah, no doubt. I remember when I was, not to jump ahead, but I remember just being at LSU, and it was just always a lot of stuff to do. So a lot of times as GAs and analysts, we wouldn't be able to really be in position meetings because it was just always something we could be doing for practice prep. But I just remember thinking like, man, like, when it comes my time to run my own room at the college level, like, how am I going to know I'm ready? How am I going to know I'm prepared for this? So what I used to do is, like, from being in defensive staff meetings, listening to coaches teach stuff, Coach Aranda, like, teach the staff. Well, at the end of the day, I would just go in and I would set up a camcorder and I would go in the linebacker room and I would just pretend like it was, a room full of guys. And I would, like, teach a install or teach a defense or teach a concept or, teach like about, attacking a protection or something as if it was a room full of guys. And I would rewatch it and be like, oh, man, look how many times I said, look how many times I did this, or like, I wasn't making eye contact here, and I would just rewatch them and see what I could do better.
It's a great technique. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody do that before, but certainly a big part of becoming a good teacher is getting your reps, right? You think back to, that first year of teaching, and as you said, being evaluated, and just the things that you would pick up every day. And hey, being a teacher, you got to reflect and get better all the time.
No doubt, because it's as coaches, we hear so much ball from being in meetings, from, listen to this, listen to that, going to this clinic. You hear so much ball, but a lot of times you just assume, oh, I would teach that this way. But it's just different when you got a room full of guys. Like, you got to think about what questions might be asked. You got to think about all kind of stuff. So I think that's one of the things that would worry me, and why I felt like, hey, I need to make sure I know how I'm going to teach this, just during my time as a GA and analyst.
So we're going to get into some of your progressions today in teaching the outside linebackers. But before we do that, let's talk about the guys that you want in the room. What traits are you looking for in an outside linebacker?
One of the things that I really feel like I favored or leaned towards is, just length at the jack spot, man. I feel like a guy with a lot of length, he can really make up for a little bit, maybe some of the technical things, maybe some of the physicality things that a guy may lack, man, but I just think it's just something about having a guy with length that just owns an edge. Some of the other things that I look for is like, typical things that you would look for in any great person to play on the line is, motor, first step, get off, ability to set an edge, as I already talked about, rush ability, especially at the jack spot. I probably could have led off with that, but just, like, does his high school tape or does the tape show, or, for transfers, does the tape show the ability to rush the quarterback? Because, in this 3-4 scheme or, this scheme that we run, I mean, what we lack in athleticism and, your guys in the middle with your 4 eyes and your 0 nose, or, if you're going to shade them or whatever, but what you lack in athleticism there, we feel like you need to make up for athleticism in the jack position. And that's really just the whole mindset of it, what I'm saying? Like, you want to get, we use the term all the time. Our D-line coach, Dennis Johnson, always talk about, like, evaluating guys and saying, is he a block hitter? Is this guy a block hitter? Can he grow into a block hitter? You know what I'm saying? Can he be a forward? Why? The jack, we want that guy. We want that. We don't want another infantry guy. We want a special forces guy. We want a guy that's going to dictate protections. We want a guy that's going to require special attention. So you're looking for those things from a trait aspect, and you're looking for those things from a personality aspect. Does he see himself as the guy third down and I'm going to go make the play? Like, does he see himself as that alpha? So, that's a lot of things that we think about when we recruit a jack. And physicality, I feel like it's somewhat of a sliding scale because not all the guys that I've been blessed to coach here at Baylor have all been guys with length. Sometimes I feel like if a guy doesn't have that length, he can still have, wingspan, but he can just be a physical guy. Like, he can just be a twitched up physical guy. I feel like that's also something that helps with those guys who aren't, your 6'4", 6'5". If he is a 6'3", 6'2 and a half, 6'1 guy, is he still causing problems with, his explosiveness, his athleticism, his first step, those types of things. Yeah, man, it's a fun position to recruit and evaluate.
So looking at getting these guys started, right, and looking at a teaching progression here, that install, you mentioned you used to practice it, now you get to do it. That install day one, what are the things you're really setting the tone with that this is what this position is going to be about? This is what I need you guys to do.
Oh, yeah, definitely edge setters. Like, edge setters, that's just something that I feel like is a premium in 3-4 defense. In our defense, I feel like, like the offense has to understand that when it comes to running the ball on the perimeter to the jack, if we got 2 jacks on the field, but like this is where the stuff stops. This is where it ends. You fall off a cliff right here. And then, with everything about 3-4 defense, now you got to funnel it into the interior guys and so on. But the ball is not going to be ran on the perimeter. This is it. Like, that's one thing that I feel like you can't get enough of emphasizing that. It's just hard edges, setting the freaking edge. I feel like that's the thing that starts everything. I can't emphasize that enough. We'll be in a good position if we're setting edges. And then the next thing is just generating a pass rush.
With your guys, as you're teaching the different things they need to see in the picture, right? Formation recognition, where's the strength, how many guys are on the surface to that side, how they're going to adjust.
Exactly. That's something that I feel like coaching jacks, I don't really think it's hard, but I do think that's the thing where you can't really compromise on alignment. The guys have to be able to recognize the formation and get aligned properly. Guys have to be able to recognize back sets, whether, hey, okay, I'm a 5 technique. Do I need to tighten down? Do I need to widen out? Okay, am I getting stretch at me? Or am I getting, split something, some type of split action where I tight end? Like, alignment is something where I feel like, it's not really complex, but I feel like that's kind of where you can be as detailed as possible when it comes to alignment, and that'll kind of set you up for success. Because a lot of times when you're coaching the jack, the reason why you're looking for a guy with such a high motor, because a lot of the times when you grading film, you really grading them off like, they first 2 steps. Am I taking the right step? Am I false stepping? And then after that, it's like, are you playing with great effort? So that's a big part of it. So I feel like alignment is really crucial when it comes to, like, putting yourself in position to make a play. The difference between getting a sack or getting a hurry, or the difference between, getting a TFL or, just getting a tackle. Like, I feel like it starts with just aligning for success.
And I know for you the tool that you've been able to use, at least classroom portion or walkthrough portion, is go Army edge, and it's something I know you guys had a walkthrough room when you were at LSU, doing some similar things. That you said the new facility will have that, but you also have something you're using right now. Talk to us a little bit about just that tool and how it's important, to really be efficient in your teaching with those guys.
Yeah, man. I could go in on this. Yeah, so it started back when at LSU, Coach Aranda would always be going on the road, visiting different places, and he had visited a couple of NFL teams. One of the ones that's popping off my head was the Bills, and just talked about seeing that they had a walkthrough room. I think he said the Patriots as well, and he had, of course, he had a lot of say-so in the building of the facility at LSU, and boom, so we had a walkthrough room. That's kind of a fast-forwarded version. But Rob Everett came down and, taught me Go Army. And, we use it literally every day at LSU in our weekly game plan prep. And, the main things that we use it for was formation recognition, because the inside linebacker's room was connected to the walkthrough room. So that kind of made it super easy to Coach Aranda would teach an install, and he would, go through, hey, these are the plays we seen today. In the last 5-10 minutes of meetings, he would just walk the guys right, which was connected to it, into the walkthrough room. And for the last 5 minutes of everybody's meeting, we would get all the skill players, so linebackers and DBs, and we would bring everybody in there and do motion adjustments. So that was really the key thing, and that's one of the things that it really still helps us with today is motion adjustments and formation recognition. Talking about later on in the postseason at LSU in 2019, we just had different rules and stuff that little things we wanted to do to tweak the front, to just put us in a position of success, to keep us with a hard edge. And, the linebackers had to be able to see the formation and set the front. And, it was a lot of rules. It was based off of what plays we were seeing. And, Coach Aranda every day would at least spend 5 to 10 minutes with those guys, seeing a formation, having to make a call, seeing a formation, having to make a call, and you could get so many reps because it's just the click of a mouse. You're not really having to give guys cards. You're not really having to shuffle guys around. You're not even really having to find a whole lot of bodies, with you being a shortage of bodies. You really just, you roll out like the holes, like the little holes with the guard tackle center on it. And boom, you pulling up Go Army edge. You flipping through formations, and guys are using the alignments based off the holes, but they looking up at the, the screen that's projected on the wall. So they looking up at the projector that's, projected on the wall, and they like, hey, boom, single left, single right, boom, spitting it off. And even today, we don't really have the same caliber of walkthrough room here at Baylor that we had at LSU. We will in the new facility, but even today, I still use it as a form of teaching exact alignments. Hey, here, it's a wing. Where do we need to align? Showing them a picture of, you just go Army edge, and you can get that guy in that exact alignment that you want him in. You say, hey, versus a wing, this is how we should look. This is our aiming point. You're just using it to teach it exact, especially, when it comes to introduction, like how we doing right now, T-shirts and shorts. Boom, I can get that guy aligned exactly how I want. I can teach off of it. I can go to the next one. So have them aligned exact. Hey, right here, you see the back is away, but hey, we got this tight end away from us. You can be expecting to get kicked out right here. We might want to tighten down right here. Boom, I show a picture of a guy in a tight five aligned foot to foot. Boom, move on to the next one. And that's really helped me a lot with just having those exact alignments. You know what I'm saying? That way you give it to them, you print it out on an 8-box, give it to those guys that I'm taking home, and that's just one thing that kind of speeds up the process of us having our alignments exactly how you want them to be.
Yeah, such an important part of it. And the beauty of that technology is you're not messing around with a scout team. You're just hitting the next button to get that back up there the right way.
And not only that, Keith, but something else, I'm sorry, but one other thing that I realized helped us a lot is you can set the angle. So like, let's just say you load your playlist, right? And you want the guy to see this motion from like this angle, from like the perspective of a linebacker. You want to see it from like the perspective of a safety. Boom, you can build your playlist and then you set the angle from that perspective. And that way, when you pull it up, so like, you don't have a lot of time, the coaches want it efficient. So everybody gets in a room and you like, hey, like you just hitting play, next. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? It's already set the way you want it, instead of each play you having to adjust it and move the camera around and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, it's such a great tool for that. It's something I've used before. I used it, as I was telling you, for pass pro blitz pickup and just 15-minute period, which we would get in. I think, it depended if we were home or away. On Fridays, if we were home, we'd get an extra one in. But 15-minute period, getting 60 to 65 reps in compared to what, would take me probably 45 minutes to do that if I had actual people I'm having to move around. So just very efficient and able to getting more of those mental reps. Important things, right? Alignment is important. If you guys can't get a line right, you're not starting off for success.
That's right. It's been good to us, man. And I remember, because of course Coach doesn't know, but I just remember, here at Baylor, he was like, yeah, hey, can we get that kind of rolling, get some Go Army stuff rolling, how much does it cost? I was like, Coach, that was free.
That's right.
He's like, the one we used, it was free. I'm like, yeah, Coach, that was free. That's one of the beauty of it. That Go Army Edge program is free. All you really need is a screen.
That's exactly it. Yeah. We'll head back to the actual stuff, on the field stuff. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of your progressions here. And the first one was just the footwork. And you mentioned to me that that's evolved a little bit and then went back to simplifying it. So talk to us about your rush footwork.
We teach rush footwork, and really what all that is, man, just getting the guys going forward. You have drop footwork, which is really more of if you're talking in terms of D-line play, really the base way to put it is rush footwork is really more attack-react style. Drop footwork is more react-attack. We take a 6-inch gather step, and then now we generating power from our hips, our hands, and then our feet. Wise, I feel like rush footwork is more generating power from the ground up, so hips, hands, and feet. So really rush footwork is just being loaded up on your front foot, having a good base, having a weight room base, feet about shoulder width apart, to help guys understand what I'm looking for as far as they stance. I say knee over your toe, chest over your knee, good base. And then you just driving out. Some teams teach inside foot up, outside foot back. Here at Baylor, we teach, outside foot up, inside foot back, because that allows us to train the guy the same way you would a defensive end or a D lineman. So it's a lot of continuity across our front rather than this one guy having different footwork. So anyway, we just teach rolling off that front foot, getting my power foot down, generating power from the ground, striking on the rise, and you trying to lift. We use that term a lot, lifting, trying to take the bend out of his knees. You lifting, you using your whole lower body to lift that guy. So that's pretty much rush footwork, just outside foot up, inside foot back, weight loaded, knee over your toe, chest over your knee, and you're going to drive off that front foot or drive off that down foot and generate power by getting your power foot in the ground and lifting the offensive line. If you get a base block. Of course, if you get a down block, we say sit and serve. You get a reach block, same thing. I'm trying to lift, setting the edge. And, of course, if I got hi-hat and I'm rushing, then, of course, I'm going to rush the passer. If I'm a dropper, again, they should both look the same. The offensive line shouldn't be able to look at us and say, okay, hey, he's rushing and he's dropping. And that was one of the things, even when we was teaching rush and drop footwork, you would try to say, hey, these need to look the same. The weight distribution need to look the same. Even though you have drop responsibilities on these plays, even though your weight distribution in your feet is slightly different because you a dropper, you would try to say they need to look the same. But as the season would go along, if you're not careful, then now you have an easy tell about, okay, hey, look at, put a bunch of the steal shots of the jacks together. You could tell he's rushing here. You could tell he's dropping here, and that's the danger of it. That's why I'm glad we only doing, rush footwork now, to where every play we should be, going forward. We should be, going forward, attacking. Everything is attack, react. You get what I'm saying? And then, of course, we'll progress to our drop responsibility, or we'll react to hi-hat rather than thinking, boom, I want to react to this guy. Oh, I got hi-hat. Let me get to my cover responsibility. So, that's really one of the things that's really how we teaching our guys here at Baylor as far as rush footwork goes. It's no different than, a defensive line coach would coach attack, react.
In describing this player, this Jack, you said you wanted him to be an alpha, especially when it came to pass rush, somebody that had to be accounted for. And I mean, hey, with today's defenses, there's always a guy like that. It seems everybody has somebody that you really got to worry about, maybe get help for, but you still need that guy. Even if he's getting double teamed, triple teamed, whatever it might be, you need him to be able to still get to that quarterback. So what are some of the key things you're teaching in your pass rush progressions?
Starting off with just get off man. I mean, and honestly, that's something that I feel like I could have even done a better job of emphasizing, is just the importance of get off. Like, I think last year, a lot of it went, third down, a ball get off key. But, really just from learning from different people this offseason, Coach Aranda always sets us up to clinic and, learn from different people and just to be an ongoing learner. And that's really just, man, key whatever moves first. As you start to study offensive lines and you start to look at this and that, man, sometimes, you may have a tackle that, he'll drop his weight first. So, whenever that ball's about to snap, or you may have a guard that has a cue when the ball's about to be snapped. So it's helpful for coaches not to only think ball key, to key whatever moves first. And that's something that I feel like I can do a better job of this season, instead of just teaching, hey, we're going to key this, whether it's the back knee, or whether it's the tip of the pad, whatever's moving first. That's what I feel like your study throughout the week needs to be, and key that. So I would say that's step number one, and making get off, as competitive as it can be, doing something every day where guys are competing and get off, and putting a premium on ball get off being key is something that I feel like is what it all starts with. Because if you got a great get off and you forcing the tackle, man, you forcing his hand, or you forcing his set, then you already you already won, a big part of the battle. I think the next thing that I really try to get my guys to understand is just, drawing a line, understanding the overset, understanding, hey, the path from me to the quarterback, having this imaginary line in my head about, hey, is the tackle before he gets his second kick in, is he past that? All right, then now I need to be thinking more inside, a counter moves. The next part in the progression is really just rush angles. It's very rare that you have like just that true speed rusher guy. Like if you got that guy, power to you. Like you knew that coming in that he was going to be a speed rusher guy. But for a lot of guys, pass rush is really more along the mindset of combat, hand combat. So really just trying to teach guys about rush angles, about understanding, hey, if I'm going to take that path where I'm racing this guy up the field, I'm trying to beat him to the spot 4 yards up the field, or really it's really more, I say 4 yards up the field for like younger guys who you're trying to get them to understand, but it's really more about closing the space to the hip. So racing to the spot, speed angle guys, boom, that's one angle. And then you have more of your edge rushers, which is, you pointed more at the quarterback from your stance. You get what I'm saying? So you in your stance, you pointed more at the quarterback, and now, boom, you stepping on his toes, trying to either force a bad set or trying to get him to slow his feet down so you can work back on the edge. And another thing that I like about the power angle or edge rush or edge angle is if that guy stops his feet, then, the chances of him stopping his feet and then restarting them, that's a battle that we should win, right? Just talking about body, just talking about athleticism, talking about, again, just that the mentality of us. We thinking, hey, if I step on his toes, so if I take that edge angle, if I take that power and I step on his toes and I get back to an edge and he powers down, I mean, if he feels threatened by me approaching him right now and he powers down and I get back on the edge, then, hey, I should win that. He shouldn't be able to stop his feet and restart his feet. If he did, he'd probably be playing D-line if he could really do that at a high level, if he had feet quick enough to do that. So, that's a big part of what I'm talking about when I say rush angles. A lot of times with a lot of the guys, I think we have like one or two guys that are true speed rushers, but majority of our guys are going to be edge rush guys. So that's where a lot of just the whole synchronization between the hands and the feet come into play. As a front wise, we really don't emphasize too much on hip flip because we teach so much about upper body violence. We really stress upper body violence and allowing the violence that you use your hands with in hand-to-hand combat, allowing that violence to really allow your hips to follow through. If you violent enough with, I feel like your upper body turn, whether it's a double swipe, stab, chop, then your hips will naturally follow through. But if you put too much emphasis on the hip flip, then now you may find yourself in a position where, you giving up your chest or something like that. So we really teach upper body violence. So that's really the rush angles. So the next thing I think as far as, that's really the basis of it, just stance and get off, drawing a line, making sure guys understand rush angles, understanding who you're going against. Like, for instance, if I'm a speed rusher, then, boom, when I get to that spot, I need to understand, hey, is this guy vertical and high? I need to understand the position of the tackle. Is he vertical and high? Is he vertical and low? Is he horizontal? Did he have a really good set and his pads are horizontal? Well, then now it's no chance of me working any inside moves because there's no point in me even thinking about working an inside move versus horizontal pads. So it's just, just teaching the guys that, we have little sayings and things we do to drill it, vertical and high, spin it by, snatch it by, club it by, vertical and low, we say point the toe, or you really want to try to do something to not get washed by the quarterback. When I say vertical and low, I'm saying he's in a position to where he's beat, and his only chance of recovering is to wash me by the quarterback. So we say vertical and low, you want to point the toe. And then as far as a lot of our edge rush stuff, we really talking about combat, and we talking about just hands and feet synchronization, understanding the type of set, understanding, okay, boom, I took that edge angle. Is his pads horizontal? Is his pads vertical? And going from there. Because a lot of times if you're going to take an edge angle or a power angle, and you're going to step on that guy. If he takes like a normal vertical set where he's kicking for depth, then you should naturally fall inside. Like, it should happen naturally. But if he does, boom, shorten his step up and slow his feet down, then now I'm looking to see, okay, is his pads horizontal or are they vertical? If his pads are horizontal, then now I want to try to get back to an edge as quick as I can. If his pads are vertical, now I want to try to, beat the inside hand and take an inside move. And as far as drill organization, I really like to think about it in terms of skills and drills. Like I like to think about things that we need to be working. So, you have like your move toolbox, which is like, chop, dip, rip, freeze, rush, long arm, stab, chop, pull, slide, just your move toolbox. And then you also think about other things you need to work, such as like bend, when it comes to working bend, the hoops are good. These are just natural. These are just not, I shouldn't say natural, but these are just skills and drills that I think for the outside linebackers, we need to be consciously aware of, hey, sliding this in our engine, rush awareness, understanding the level of the quarterback, finding ways to drill that to where, hell, sometimes it can be a pop-up where, hey, I'm rushing against an offensive tackle, but, boom, I get to the spot and I see the quarterback is stepping up. Then, hey, I need to be thinking, hey, I need to be aware of that. I don't need to continue to try to run the hoop. I need to try to be thinking, okay, I could go ahead and snatch this guy by or work an inside move. And, upper body balance, we talked about that. So that's like, your bags, your bag drills, your big bags, your tight bags, quick hands, doing things like that, and get off and rush angles, and just finding ways to constantly be working those skills and drills. Like I said, get off, bend, rush awareness, upper body balance, having your moves in your toolbox, and rush angles. So that's pretty much it, man. I think that's really how I think about teaching pass rush.
Great detail you shared with us, Coach, there, and appreciate you taking time to go through that whole teaching progression and share some of those things with us today. If our listeners want to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Twitter, so BU_Coach Collins. And yeah, man, I know your podcast, Coach, is popular, and I've listened to several coaches get on there and talk. So man, I appreciate you for giving me this opportunity, man, just to get on here and talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck to you and the Baylor Bears in 2023.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you again for listening to the Coach and Coordinator podcast. Be sure to check out coachandcoordinator.com, our show notes there, our blogs, and the other content that we are adding to our website constantly. Follow us on Twitter as well, @Coach K. Grabowski.